Hello and welcome to It's All About You, the best show about you on the internet. I am B. Dave Walters, writer, life coach, talk radio host. This is episode number 80. 80. Why do good girls like bad guys? Probably just good girls and bad guys. Now this is a question that I've been asked many times. Many times over the years, and I talked about it, and even last week on the radio I talked about it extensively, but through some freak accident the episode recording of last week's radio broadcast didn't record, so only the people that heard it live got to hear it then, and everybody else it was not to be. So I figured I would talk about it here on this video because I know this is a question that many people, both men and women, have asked themselves and asked me. And I was fortunate that I found out the answer to this in 1997, alright? Because it kind of took my dating life to the next level. Because I was one of those guys that was always being told that I was too nice. Too nice, and we're gonna come back to that, about the too nice, okay? So, let me lay on you. Basically, there's two reasons. Why good girls like bad guys. The first one is bad guys trigger your mothering instinct because you can help him. You know, you understand him and no one else does. You can be there for him. You know, nobody else sees the him that you see. Blah, 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 blah. Right? That he's somebody that you can help, somebody that you can save, somebody that you can fix. And as you know, as we've talked about so many times, can't fix anybody because people don't want fixing. They're actually not broken. And so when you get into a relationship with somebody that's predicated on this idea of they're almost there, if they can just change this much they'll be good, your relationship is doomed to fail. 100%. Doesn't matter who you are or what it is. If you're looking at them thinking like he'd be a great guy, I just need him to lose some weight, you're in trouble. Or she'd be a great girl, I just need her to start coming to church with me. Nope. Not gonna happen. You have to ask yourself, when you get into a relationship, if this person never changed at all, if they stayed just like this, would I be happy with them? And if the answer is yes, then sure, totally, pursue the relationship. And if the answer is no, then don't pursue the relationship. Now, this is something that's come up several times in talking to people, that they're like, well, I know I don't want a relationship, but I'm just sort of killing time. You know, we're just dating, or not just dating, but people that you know it's not going to work out for whatever reason. Excuse me, I'm fixing my fly tie because it bugs me. And it's just like, well, I just want to spend some time together. But for me, if you know you want a relationship, not everybody does, but if you know you want a relationship, you want to get married, you want to settle down, you want to have kids, then being with somebody that you know is not going to give you that, is a waste of both of your time. Now, if both of you are just dating, you know, we've talked about this, that the secret of a relationship is you got to be on the same page. If both of you are just dating, it can work. If both of you are in love, it can work. If it's just physical, it can work. If one of you is just dating and one of you is looking to fall in love, train wreck. Or if one of you is in love and one of you is just getting physical, like somebody once said, be careful that you're not making love with someone who's having sex, right? You're in trouble, okay? So, if you know that you got these big red flags, honestly, why waste both of your time? Because it's just going to be messy when it ends. Why even start? If you know in advance, it's not going to work, okay? This goes for if you know your parents aren't going to approve of this guy or approve of this girl, and you know that what your parents want is more important to you than what you want. Again, why waste your time? Why fall all in love? Why string this other person along? Right? Just focus your efforts on finding the right person. Okay? So that's the first thing. Somebody to fix. Second reason. Baggage. Baggage from your own past. Probably from your own relationship with your father or some other trusted male that quite frankly was no good. That was not there for you, or you saw a run game on your mother and at a young age you formed in your mind, well, that's what love looks like. Or for whatever reason you didn't deserve to have like real love, real romance, you know, an open, honest, trusting, supportive relationship. You need to get involved with jerks. And so, you consistently find your way to get into relationships with jerks. Or you find some way to live into this fulfillment of I'm not good enough. Because if you're worried way deep down inside that you don't deserve a certain type of guy, then you are never going to get that kind of guy. Or guys that are watching this, because I know some guys are watching this to be really like, come on, why is that? If you don't believe that you deserve a certain kind of girl, you are not going to get that girl. See, I've been blessed, I don't know if it's blessed or cursed, that I never think anybody is out of my league. You know, luckily I'm retired. You know, but for whatever reason, things don't always work out in a relationship. But like, I've yet to encounter a human being that I thought was just like beyond my range. I'm like, I don't care. Everybody's in range. You know, so you don't necessarily have to think that somebody's be out of your league as long as your confidence is there. And I'm not talking about ego, because this is what happens. A lot of times these bad guys, and let me clarify what I mean when I say bad guys. I'm talking about jerks, and you know who I'm talking about. But how many girls do you know that are dating jerks? Like, there's an entire website called Hot Girls with Douchebags. That's what the website's about. And it's pictures of like these like weirdly mixed couples. And part of the reason is quite often jerks don't take no for an answer. And quite honestly, it can be very easy to manipulate and run people over. Unfortunately. You know? I mean, it's kind of like a psychological game. And the sad fact is, with a lot of people, you can get a greater response from them by making them feel bad about themselves than you can by making them feel good about themselves. Which is sad, but it's true. And every guy that knows anything about women knows this. That you cannot just shower a woman with compliments constantly, because she'll get bored with you. Sad, but true. Now, if I just wanted to be a manipulator, which, you know, I would not do that, far be it for me to do that. But the reality of the matter is, well, let me not reveal these tricks for somebody that could use them for evil. Okay, I have to be responsible with what I put out into the world. But just trust me on this, that you got to mix it up some. Which brings me back to this point I was going to make about guys that are too nice. Now, ladies, tell the truth. Sometimes when we say a guy is too nice, we really mean he's kind of a wussy, kind of a baby. And you're just being polite. Okay? Because I've gone on record many times saying a woman wants a man to be a man. Okay? And if you feel like you got a pair that's bigger than he does, he's not going to win your respect. And if a man doesn't have your respect, he will never have your love and affection. Ever. Okay? But if this guy really is too nice, if you find yourself thinking he's too nice, like he calls too often, or he tells you he loves you too much, really, you don't need to look at him, you need to look at you. Now, I know I just said it doesn't work if you're too nice. I'll talk to the fellas in a second. But look at yourself. Honestly, listen to what you're really saying there. If this guy is too loving, too supportive, too emotionally available, then what is it in you that won't allow yourself to be with a guy who can be emotionally vulnerable for you? I'll give you a classic example. Classic example. Two friends of mine, I set them up with each other. Two beautiful human beings. One of the best looking girls and the best looking guys I've ever seen in my life. And I'm secure enough in my masculinity to admit when a guy is hot. And this dude is hot. Okay? And I put them together. Fantastic chemistry. He works. He loves his mom. He's got his own house. He drives a nice car. He pays his own bills. Whole 9 yards. And they really hit it off. Instant sparks. Okay? Until they've been together for a couple of months. And in the process of talking about something, he cried in front of her. Now, I know what you're thinking. Most girls, if a guy cried in front of you at the proper point in your relationship, not the first date, second date, but at the first point, at the right time, he showed you this vulnerability. Most girls would be like, haha, yeah, all right. You know? Right? Not this time. My friend just completely went like off the rails. She couldn't accept it. Just the fact that she'd seen him show emotion, she just could not process this, right? It had completely ruined the relationship. And a lot of this has to do with her own unresolved issues and baggage and incomplete relationship from her own past and her incomplete relationships with males from her own past. Okay, which she was living into this one, and it cost her a really, really great guy, which is sad. Okay, so if you find yourself being unable again to be in a relationship with emotionally available guys, then look into your past at all the men that you've been with in the past who were emotionally unavailable. Does that make sense? Now, ladies, I'm sorry I have to do this. I realize this. I didn't say this one was for ladies. I just said, why do good girls like bad guys? Which is, girls and guys want to know the answer to this. So let me talk to the fellas for a second here. You can listen in, but that's okay. I'm talking to the guys now. Guys, let me tell you what I had to do. Because if left to my own devices, I am this too nice guy. I am this guy who always tells you how pretty you are, how good you look, you know, who does nice things, who opens doors, who buys lunch. I'm that guy. And I hear you girls thinking, yeah, that's what we want. You think it's what you want. You think it's what you want. And I've actually only found one other person who discovered this thing that I discovered. And this when I was working in the casino. And this dude was from Cambodia. He was literally 5'4", right? Horrible skin. He looked like Hoggle from Legend, if you know who that is. He looked like, a villain from the Lord of the Rings. But this dude had women coming and going. He's one of the biggest pimps I'd ever seen in my life. And he and I were talking one night, and he mentioned something, again, that I discovered. That you have to mix in just a little bit of jerk. Just a little. Not too much. Just a little. Just a little bit of aloofness, a little bit of detachment, a little bit of, I can take or leave you. And that's what will keep her staying longer than anything else. It sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't the case. But if you look real deep inside, ladies, if you look way deep down inside, you know I'm right. Okay? You don't like it when it's too easy. You don't like it when there's no challenge at all. When a guy just lays on the floor and turns his tummy up and lets you scratch it. You don't like that. You don't like that. For reasons I explained in the video about women, okay? Both men and women need a challenge, but men and women need a challenge in a different way. For a man, if a man has a physical conquest too early, he gets bored. And for a woman, if she has an emotional conquest too early, she gets bored. This is why I've told you, ladies, don't give it up too easily. Don't mistake sex with love, because, man, they are not the same thing, especially for guys. They're unrelated. There's a small connection, but they're, for women, they're connected. And for guys, they're, connected-ish, right? So, this is why I tell you, because a lot of times people are like, well, I slept with him on the second date and he hasn't called. That's why. Because if he got what he want, the thrill is gone. The pursuit is gone. The chase is gone. And he has no desire to look into anymore and find out who you really are inside. Same thing with a woman. If you're just like, oh my God, I love you. First, second date, she's out the door. I'm telling you, she's out the door. Right? So, again, I'm sorry to just bottom line it like that. But, I've had this conversation a few times with girls who sometimes they've tried to force themselves to stay with a good guy, right? And the spark just wasn't there. And this is why. You need a man who's going to have a little bass in his chest periodically. A little bass in his voice, right? Everybody likes to have their hair pulled a little bit from time to time. Everybody. It's primal, okay? And if you're with a guy who can't give that to you ever, then yeah, you're going to get bored. But the flip side to this, though, is the reason why those jerks catch your attention, but it doesn't last, is that old 80-20 thing, right? It's easy to let somebody else catch your eye when they got the 20% of the things that your mate doesn't have, right? Because maybe this guy's got bigger muscles, or maybe this girl's got a nicer body, or maybe this guy drives a better car, right? Or maybe this girl is a better flirt than the one that you're with right now. But the thing is, if you leave the sure thing pursuing this other 20%, you're going to get there and you'll have that. It's like the idea of being able to eat ice cream all the time. Being able to eat ice cream 24 hours a day would be awesome for 2 days, maybe 3, right? And then you get in there and you realize, oh, this isn't really that great at all. That's what happens on so many online relationships. That you start comparing this person that you see online, where everybody's putting their best foot forward online. You know, here's my deepest thoughts, the things I like the most, the songs I like, the quotes I like, the things I enjoy. And you're connecting based on your best self. And you start comparing somebody else's best self to your mate's total self. Right? Because you've seen your mate when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're sick, when they're hungry, when they're cranky, when they're PMSing, you know, when he's pissed off because the Pats lost the Super Bowl. Right? Or, you know, Nick Diaz lost the welterweight title. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Right? So when you start comparing the totality of one person against a very small segment of another person, then it's not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight. And that's why so often when you meet people in this certain environment, be it an online environment or a very limited environment, and you get there and you start to interact with them and you realize there's no actual depth or substance to it. Because a lot of times you can have chemistry, you can have electricity, but it's full of sound and fury and signifying nothing, like Shakespeare said. Okay? So that's something that you should look at. You know, I've told you many times, I have what Dr. Drew refers to as a broken picker. Okay? I am instantly attracted to psychos. It never fails. I can walk into a room and I can tell you the girl with the most daddy issues. They're like 100 paces. You can blindfold me. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just can. Because my nature is to be a fixer. My nature is to be a helper. Let me be there for you. Just no one's ever been there for you. Just let me love and support you. Which again, I hear you. I hear you. You're like, I want that. Yeah, no you don't. Okay? Not when it's actually there happening. Alright? And especially because I would pick a lot of girls that were unable to accept this level of affection because they didn't feel worthy of it. And so they push it away. Again, based on their own baggage in the past. And I had to realize that for me, the first girl that caught my attention, the first girl that from across the room that I'd be like, wow, her was probably not the best fit for me. And I had to learn how to weigh more things about a person and more things about a human being before I was able to start having healthy, stable relationships. And now, you know, I've been married for almost 10 years now. Man, where's the time go? Right? So, if you are a girl who always picks bad guys, or even a guy who always picks bad girls, but quite frankly, guys that pick bad girls are much less common. But it happens. Ask yourself, what is it in these people that attracts you instantly, that jumps out at you instantly, and recognize that maybe you can't trust that, okay? Because maybe it's not coming from logic and reason, maybe it's coming from baggage and conditioning. And if you find that you're always dating jerks, then switch up what you're doing. If you're always meeting guys at the bar, maybe you're not going to find a good guy at the bar. I know people, hand to God, that are like, I want to find a guy who's looking to get married, settle down, have kids, go to church with me every Sunday and every Wednesday, and they look exclusively at bars. How's that going to work? Okay? So if you know that you always date jerks that only want to have sex in the gym, then stop picking up guys at the gym. Okay? Now it's the same thing in the relationships episode. And I went into way more detail in the relationships episode. But figure out what you don't want. Figure out what you do want. Figure out what that type of person is attracted to and start turning yourself into that. And then find out where that type of person hangs out and go there. If you are what they're looking for and you are where they are, then you will find what you're looking for. It never fails. But you really got to ask yourself, because I'm almost out of time, what is it in you that is attracting these people? And when you figure out what it is in you that will not allow you to have a healthy, stable relationship, go watch episode number 37 about instant change. And I will help you uproot that and create a new pattern. Then you can watch the episode on men and find out what you got to do to hook a guy, because we're very easily manipulated. We're very simple creatures. But I'm about out of time. And I'm going to go on the radio here in a minute. But by the time you see this video, the radio broadcast will be done. But you can see the recording of it up on my Facebook fan page, which is facebook.com/BDaveWalters. And you can find out anything about me on my website, about.me/BDaveWalters. Links to the articles, videos, radio shows, everything. And you can ask me questions. Ask me anything you want through formspring.me/BDaveWalters. You're great, and I love you. 80 episodes. Wow. Okay, bye-bye.